Okay, wonderful. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, it's somehow wrong? Like you're too much when you express yourself and not enough when you hold back, right? So if that lands for you, take a deep breath with me and then exhale. You're not alone. See, so many trauma survivors live with this quiet tug of war inside, the constant fear that who they are will will be too intense, too emotional, too needy, or too different. And yet, no matter how hard they try to be just right, they end up feeling unseen, unheard, or disconnected. The truth is that fear, the one that whispers, don't say that, don't feel that, don't be that, didn't begin with you. It began in a moment when being yourself didn't feel safe. Maybe it was a parent who criticized your feelings, a partner who dismissed your needs, or an environment where you had to perform just to belong. And then over time, your nervous system learned that the only way to stay safe was to shrink, to make yourself smaller, quieter, more accommodating, until one day you forgot what your authentic voice even sounded like. So, hi, I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist, and I want to thank you for being here with me today. It takes real courage to even listen to a conversation like this because it means you're ready to look at how old survival patterns might still be shaping the way you show up in your life today. Now, today's healing step session is about something I know so many of us struggle with: learning how to feel safe being fully ourselves again. Together, we'll explore where this fear of being too much or not enough really comes from, and how it quietly affects your relationships and decisions, and what you can begin doing today to reconnect with the truth that you are already enough. So, if you ever felt like you've had to earn your right to be loved or seen, this session is for you. So let's take one more grounding breath together. Inhale through your nose and then exhale through your mouth. Wonderful. So let's begin by understanding where this fear actually starts and why it has so much power over how we see ourselves. That's where we're going next. See, the fear of being too much or not enough almost never starts in adulthood. It begins much earlier, in the moments when you first learned that your real self came with consequences. So maybe you were told you were too sensitive when you cried, too loud when you laughed, too opinionated when you spoke up, or maybe you were made to feel not good enough when you tried your best, when love, attention, or approval always felt just out of reach. So, for many trauma survivors, these moments aren't just memories, they become instructions for how to survive. Your nervous system learns, if I want to be loved, I need to stay small. If I want to stay safe, I need to stay quiet. If I want to belong, I can't show too much of who I really am. And those lessons don't just fade when you grow up, they become your automatic responses, the invisible rules you live by, even when they're no longer true. This is why so many people who've experienced trauma feel exhausted without knowing why, because constantly managing how others perceive you, constantly filtering your words, your emotions, your energy takes an incredible toll. Can you relate to that? Have you ever noticed how you shrink yourself in certain rooms or go quiet around certain people, even when there's nothing to fear in that moment? If you're nodding right now, you're in good company. You see, that shrinking isn't weakness, it's protection. It's your body's way of saying, I remember what it felt like to be rejected, and I never want to feel that again. The problem is the same strategy that once kept you safe is now keeping you stuck. Because when you stay in survival mode, always editing, always accommodating, you lose touch with the most important connection you have, the one with yourself. And that's what I want to explore next. The hidden cost of always trying to be just right for everyone else. See, when you spend years trying to be just right for everyone else, not too emotional, not too quiet, not too bold, something inside you starts to fade. And at first, it feels like protection. You're keeping the peace, avoiding conflict, staying safe. But over time, it becomes something else entirely: disconnection. You begin to lose your sense of aliveness. You second guess what you feel, censor what you say, and question what you want. You start living from the outside in, measuring your worth through someone else's approval instead of your own truth. And here's the part that most survivors don't realize. When you disconnect from your authentic self, you also disconnect from your intuition, that inner guidance system that tells you what's right, what's safe, and what's meant for you. So when trauma tells you be smaller, it's safer, your nervous system listens. But your soul, it aches. It knows you were never meant to live half of a life. Take a breath here with me. Now, go ahead and inhale and then exhale. Can you think of a time when you swallowed your truth? When you wanted to say something, express something, or just be yourself, be held back out of fear? If something comes into mind, don't judge it, just simply notice it. That awareness is powerful, and it's where healing begins. Because what's true, because here's what's true. You don't need to shrink yourself to be loved. The people meant for you will never ask you to disappear to make them comfortable. I know that realization isn't easy, and I lived that pattern too. And I want to share a piece of my story with you because I know how hard it can be to break free from it. So let's talk about what it looked like for me when I was trapped in that not enough cycle and how I began to find my way back to myself. I know this struggle because I lived it for years. And there was a time when I believed that being strong meant staying quiet, that being dependable meant never needing help, that being enough meant proving my worth through what I did, not who I was. On the outside, I looked composed. I was achieving, showing up, doing all the things. But inside, I was exhausted and I felt invisible, not because others couldn't see me, but because I had stopped seeing myself. And every time I held back my truth, every time I said I'm fine when I wasn't, I felt myself slipping further away. And I thought if I could just keep everything together, stay agreeable, stay busy, stay strong, I'd finally feel safe. But that safety I was chasing was the same pattern that kept me small. The turning point came when I realized I couldn't heal while pretending I didn't need healing. I remember one day looking in the mirror and whispering to myself, "You don't have to earn the right to exist. You already belong here." And that moment wasn't dramatic, it was quiet, but it was powerful because it was the first time I chose to be on my side. And that's where my healing truly began. When I stopped asking, how can I be less? And started asking, what if I'm already enough? Now, I want to share a small, simple practice with you, one that helped me reconnect with that truth when my self-doubt felt louder than my self-worth. Let's walk through it together. So we spent when you've spent years doubting your worth, it can feel impossible to believe that you're already enough. Now that's okay. You don't have to believe it right away, but you just have to begin experiencing it. So here's a simple practice I often share with my clients, and it's one I still use myself when old patterns try to creep back in. And whenever you notice yourself thinking, I'm too much or I'm not enough, pause, take a slow, steady breath, and place your hand over your heart, and then say gently, either out loud or in your mind, I am safe to be who I am right now. I don't need to earn my worth. I already am enough. And then let yourself really feel that hand over your heart. That simple touch is a signal to your nervous system that you're safe in this moment. Your body learns safety through experience, not through pressure or perfection. The goal isn't to erase the old beliefs overnight. It's to begin creating new ones through kindness and repetition. And every time you respond with gentleness instead of judgment, you're retraining your system to see safety in authenticity rather than in hiding. And the more you do this, the more you'll notice it gets easier to show up as yourself. And you'll start trusting your own voice again. So, to help you anchor this practice even deeper, I want to give you a journaling prompt, something you can reflect on after this session to explore your own experience with enoughness. Now that we've practiced what it feels like to affirm your worth in the moment, let's take that reflection a little bit deeper here. See, journaling gives you space to slow down, to listen, and to see your inner world with compassion instead of judgment. It's not about analyzing, it's about connecting. So here's your prompt for today, and I'll say it slowly so you can write it down. Where in my life do I still fear being too much or not enough? And what might shift if I believed I am already enough as I am? Let me repeat that again so you can catch every word. Where in my life do I still fear being too much or not enough? And what might shift if I believed I am already enough as I am? Now, there's no pressure to have the perfect answer. You might write one sentence, or you might fill a whole page. Either way, what comes through is what your heart is ready to show you. If emotions arise, that's okay. Just breathe, pause, and remember awareness is healing. Each word you write is a doorway back to yourself. And if this reflection opens something in you and you're ready to explore with support, I'd love to share what that next step can look like for you. So let's talk about that now. See if today's session spoke to you, if you found yourself nodding along, maybe even feeling that quiet ache inside. I want you to know that healing doesn't happen alone. I invite you to take one gentle, powerful step next with me. It's called a healing clarity session. It's a free 30-minute, heart-centered conversation where you and I will walk through this together. And here's what we'll do inside that time. We'll identify one area of your life where you still feel like you have to shrink, where you're afraid of being too much or not enough. And then we'll uncover how that belief connects to your trauma story with compassion and understanding, not judgment or shame. And then we'll discover one gentle, practical step you can begin taking right away to start showing up as your true self, safely and in your own timing. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to take one small yes for yourself, because every healing journey begins with a single choice, the choice to believe you deserve to feel whole, seen, and enough. You can schedule your free session using the link below. You are not too much, and you are not too little. You are exactly who you are meant to be. And it's safe to let that version of you be seen. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. And let's keep walking this path of healing, one small yes at a time. Before you go, I want to remind you, healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering the parts of yourself that trauma made you doubt. If this message resonated, I invite you to subscribe so you never miss a healing step session. I create these videos to help you understand your patterns, find compassion for yourself, and take small, safe steps toward real peace. And if this topic spoke to your heart, I think you'll really connect with my video on belonging after trauma, rewriting the message that you're unwanted. Now, in that session, I share how to begin rebuilding your sense of belonging and safety in relationships after years of feeling unseen or misunderstood. So you can watch it right here. Just click on the link on your screen below. And remember, you are not too much and you are not enough. You are exactly who you're meant to be. Thank you so much.